Core Edition. That's what the CE stands for. At a lower than Nord price point, does the Nord CE 5G? Oh well, we'll get to that all in good time. So does this Nord CE 5G do good? Should you settle for what's supposedly a mid-range killer? Or is this just a lot of fast and high-flying OnePlus hype? High-flying. See what I did? Get it? Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and let's try to answer all those questions in today's video. Now there are some things I really like about this phone and some things that I absolutely detest. Here today, let's start with the positives because I'm a pretty positive guy and all that. First, the build. The Nord CE 5G, which I'm gonna be referring to as just the CE because it's just a mouthful. Now, it feels great in hand. It's got a plastic back, and plastic is supposed to be something we gotta dislike plastic. But honestly, I didn't mind it all that much. Given it has a non-glossy finish, does not pick up fingerprints a lot, and has this nice purple hue to the sides. It kind of reminds me of the first batch of Huawei phones that came with the dual-tone gradient finish. That said, at this price point, it's fair to expect gloss. But it is what it is. The frame is also plastic, and now the use of plastic has meant that OnePlus has managed to get the weight lower than even what the OG Nord weighed in at. This one weighs in at 170 grams, making it one of the lighter smartphones around today. It's also pretty sleek at 7.9 millimeters of thickness, and while reaching all four corners of this panel when using the CE single-handed, now, while that isn't really possible, this phone, it's still pretty single-hand use-friendly, especially given the weight of it, the thickness and all that. Now let's take a quick look around the Nord the CE. There are a couple of very interesting points to note. We have the volume keys and dual SIM tray to the left. The secondary noise cancelling mic is present up top. The power key is present to the right. And then to the bottom, we've got a lot of stuff. We've got the speaker, USB Type-C port, a primary microphone, and a headphone jack. So yes, jack is back with the CE. The output is nothing special, but hey, the fact that there is a headphone jack on a OnePlus phone, now that's something, right? Now all this focus on the headphone jack seems to make people miss the fact that there is a major omission here. The alert slider. That definitely is a bummer. Now OnePlus is supposed to be using their usual water resistance precautions, so the CE should be splash resistant, though technically it's got no official IP rating, as with a lot of other OnePlus phones. Now next, let's move on to the display. This here, it's a 6.4-inch panel. It's a sweet looking panel. It's Fluid AMOLED, 90 Hz, so everything's pretty good. The viewing angles are as good as you'd expect them to be. The colors too are quite rich and contrasty, as is typical with AMOLED panels. Now again, there are things worth noting here. While the Nord had Gorilla Glass 5 for protection, OnePlus makes no such claims with the CE. So apart from the plastic back and omission of the alert slider, this here is yet another corner cut. They're doing this to keep the price low, or at least that's what they claim. What do you guys think about this? Comments, let me know. Also do note that this display does not have support for HDR10+. It's still a bright enough panel. Sunlight legibility is not a problem, but there is no HDR10+ support. Now, it's time for the big one. Let's talk about what's above the display. This earpiece. Don't get me wrong, there are no issues with the earpiece per se. It's great for calls. It doesn't double as a speaker or anything, so we only get mono out via the downwards firing speaker, but the calls, that is where we have an issue. Do you know what this phone is called? The OnePlus Nord CE 5G. 5G. 5 freaking G. Wait. There's an issue with 5G? I mean, we don't even have 5G yet. Arun didn't mention anything in his video. Dude, what's your problem? If that is what you're thinking, well, you're right on both counts. We still don't have 5G yet, and Mr. Who's the Boss Arun did not say anything negative with 5G, about 5G on the CE in his video. But here's the deal. There is no issue with the variant he covered. For a while now, OnePlus has been baking in support for multiple 5G bands on their global variants, while restricting Indian ones to just 1 or 2 bands with the flagships. And with 5G just around the corner, when big bold 5G branding is right there on the name of the phone, and it's barely justified the fact that it's being called 5G. When this is the case, well, Houston, we have a problem. This borderline mislead leaves a very sour taste in the mouth. I know never settle, it isn't something that you can actually build a business on. It's nice as a catchphrase, but unless you're talking about consumers never settling for anything, you can't really build a business based on it. Because frankly, the business of smartphones is solely built on the fact that we don't settle for anything ever. We keep chasing after the newest and latest all the time, and that's how these brands survive. Now, from a brand perspective, with the CE, OnePlus might have as well changed their motto to, just settle. Like Nike and just do it. OnePlus, just settle. One 5G band. Seriously, that's what they've gone for. Okay, end of rant. Let's now switch back to something a little more positive. The performance. As much as I like to talk about the mislead with 5G, we are still living in a pretty 4G world. So performance, that still takes priority. That's still what I'd call the biggest deal on a smartphone. And OnePlus have delivered here. We get a Snapdragon 750G on the inside, and if that chip sounds familiar to you, it's because it's the same chip from the pleasantly surprising Samsung Galaxy M42. Well, that phone had its flaws. Performance was never one of it. And the same experience continues with the CE as well. Day-to-day tasks at 90 Hz post no issues for the 750G inside. And with more intense tasks like gaming, this is Genshin Impact running on the CE, and as you can see, the game runs pretty well. There was no kind of heating issues or anything. Of course, there are compromises. It's not like it's running at highest settings. I am running it at low settings. Even if you switch to medium, as I've done here, you can see the gaming experience is compromised. So while the chip inside is no doubt powerful enough for regular day-to-day use and the occasional game, if you love gaming on your smartphone, this is probably not what you should be going for. You should probably look at something else more powerful. Now again, moving on, let's talk about RAM. We get 6, 8, 12 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM, 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 2.1 storage. The battery capacity has been up to 4500 milliamp hour from the Nord. It ships with this. Okay, you know what? Let me quickly cut to my unboxing footage because I've not really done a dedicated unboxing here. So this was a special reviewer's box. It had the phone's retail box and a case. Love this case, by the way. Looks nice, doesn't it? Anyway, let's get to the retail box now. Let's remove the plastic wrap. This here's the back with the price scratched out because I did get it a while back. Opening up the box, we first have the CE, removing the protective plastic and also that sticker. This was my first look at the CE. My initial impressions, I really liked that back. It felt nice in hand. Anyway, let's get back to the box. There is an insert here which we will get to in a second. There's a USB Type-C, a Type A to Type-C cable, a 30-watt warp charger, which is quite interesting. It's the same charger as what we've been getting from OnePlus for a while, the same one we saw with the Nord, but the battery capacity here is a little higher, but the charge timings are the same, 0 to 17.5 hour. It's weird, but I'm not complaining. Now, the battery life itself, that was exceptional. With light to moderate use, the CE kept going on and on. It wasn't uncommon for me to end my day of testing with about half the juice left in the tank. I don't think anyone's gonna have any issues with battery here because the battery life on this one, it's really good. Okay, I kind of got carried away. Let's return back to the box. That insert, it contains a transparent case, a SIM tool, red cable, club card, stickers, SAR value crap, quick start guide. So that was the unboxing. And see how I integrated the unboxing into the full review and I saved your time? If you like that, go ahead, drop this video a like, subscribe, become part of my 30 squad. Also, we have a pretty active Discord and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Join us. Now, the last thing to talk about before jumping to pricing would be cameras. The CE has a 64 megapixel primary camera with a f1.8 lens and 8 megapixel f2.3 ultra wide as secondary, along with a depth sensor, which is there for the very important reason of making up the numbers. Now, under good light, the performance was nothing special. It did well, great colors, pretty detailed. At this price point though, we've come to expect that. We take that for granted. Even the 8 megapixel ultra wide faring well was not surprising. The real test was under low light. Here's where I really wish I had a Nord with me to compare the images. But since I don't, well, the images did turn out looking good enough. As you can see, there's a decent amount of detail even when I've shot in the night. I mean, this is nightscape at play. With regards to video, it tops out at 4K 30, and at this resolution, the shakes are way too noticeable that I usually just ended up dropping to 1080 60 for my video needs. And this footage, as you can see, is a lot more usable. Now, I really don't want to talk about the selfie camera again, because this is still the same Sony IMX471. I think this is like the 10th OnePlus phone with this sensor. At this point, honestly, I've lost count. If you remember phone number what with the 16 megapixel IMX471, let me know in the comments. So that's basically the core edition OnePlus Nord 5G. It starts at 22,999, and at this price point, well, here's my conclusion. Build and design, I'm gonna call it above average. Yes, it's plastic, but hey, it's decently built. Display, very good. Performance, I'm gonna call it good to very good, depending on how much gaming matters to you. Cameras, pretty good. Battery life and charging, I'm gonna call excellent. Now, the biggest negative for the CE, in my humble opinion, is the 5G branding tacked onto it. For all intents and purposes, I'd implore Indian buyers to look at this as a 4G phone. The mislead here, it feels very much like a kick in the nuts, but barring that, the CE still feels like a decent mid-range offering. Mid-range killer? It definitely is not. All the planes in the world aren't gonna get me high enough to say that, but still, it's a good mid-range nonetheless. It's just that for a couple of thousand more, the Nord offers a lot more. Yes, the 128 gig Nord is gonna give you a 5,000 rupee price difference, but I'd personally choose the 64 gig Nord over this. The stronger internals, the better build, Gorilla Glass protection, I feel that's worth it. But then again, that's just me. What do you have to say? What do you think about the Nord CE 5G? Leave a comment down below, and with that, we get to the end of this review. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.